Hello all, this is Peter Sr. taking over Peter Jr.'s channel today. We're here at home getting ready to depart for Westchester County Airport for our nonstop flight via Breeze Airlines to Vero Beach. And why don't you all just come along with us today? Well, before we leave, it's about time I take off my luggage tag from my previous flight. And we're very excited. So here goes the luggage tag from the old flight, because we're going to have a new luggage tag for the new flight. So we're ready to go.
Approaching any airport is exciting, and HPN is no exception. With his strategic seat selection on the right side of his ride, my dad has great airport views. There goes an approach light as his ride drives on the final approach course to runway 16. And on display is a Lockheed T-33 commemorating the New York Air National Guard's 105th Flying Unit. Just behind this small grass hill is taxiway Alpha, where his Vero Beach-bound Breeze A220 will be on before entering runway 16 for takeoff. Approaching from this direction, if you're seated on the left side of your ride, you're missing out on these great airport views. For his flight, however, he'll be seated on the left side of his A220 for the best views. More on that later. Here on Airport Road, his ride is paralleling the runway. The road leads to the airline terminal at this airport, which has a nice mix of general aviation and commercial traffic. This airport has been featured on this channel several times. This channel focuses very heavily on LaGuardia Airport, and you'd think that the notion of LaGuardia would be dismissed by flying out of HPN, but there will be a LaGuardia connection, of course, and it all has to do with the climb of today's flight. For now, my dad's arriving at the point of origin, this 82-year-old airport. Breeze is the carrier today, and it's a very new airline. When Breeze started service here, they offered service to many cities, including Los Angeles. Then they downsized, and now they serve more cities again, including today's destination, Vero Beach, Florida. Other destinations as of now are Charleston, Daytona Beach, Myrtle Beach, Raleigh, Sarasota, Jacksonville, Norfolk, Portland, and Savannah. But for now, the focus is on the airport terminal itself, a small building of 3 stories, which is seeing a lot of passengers these days, with airlines operating to 27 destinations. It can get crowded, especially in the post-TSA holding room where airline passengers can wait, so the best option for waiting is in the pre-TSA observation deck on the upper level.
Up here at the observation lounge at Westchester Airport, it's a beautiful view of the entire runway and all the services going on. Lots of activity here.
What a view. That Breeze plane is headed to Myrtle Beach, and that Delta plane is headed to Atlanta. Taxiing along in taxiway Alpha is a NetJets Challenger 650. Notice how airlines need to push back onto taxiway Alpha itself rather than a large ramp. That can create traffic tie-ups. I'm going to give my dad a call on FaceTime now. Hey Dad, it's great to see you at the Westchester County Airport. I'm here in sunny Florida, and I'm excited to see you very, very soon.
Yes, it's nice to be here. It's a beautiful day up here in Westchester County. All of New York will be about 78, 80 degrees today. Clear skies. We're at the Westchester County Airport, and it looks like it's going to be a good flight.
That's great. So the weather down here, it's partly cloudy skies. Of course, it's a lot warmer here than it is up in Westchester, but I think that you're going to have a great flight. I'm really excited about your departure. Now, of course, we have to do a pre-flight briefing like we normally do. They are using runway 16 right now for takeoff, which will bring you towards the south in a right-hand turn. However, the wind is coming from a direct crosswind, so I don't know if there's going to be a runway change to runway 34. We'll just have to wait and see at this point, but it is literally a 90-degree crosswind, so we'll see what happens. In any case, I checked, you are going to get radar vectors to the white intersection, so that means you should get, hopefully, some pretty good New York City views.
Looking forward to that. That's why we sit on the left-hand side of the plane today to get those Manhattan and Bronx and Lower Upper Westchester views as well.
As well as Queens and Brooklyn. Now, let me tell you, White was pretty busy today. I did see some aircraft that were heading down toward the White intersection that actually went directly over the middle of the Bronx, so that actually puts you east of Manhattan rather than west of Manhattan. Hopefully, White won't be that busy at that particular time, and we'll just see what happens.
Okay, well, we're looking forward to it. Our plane has not arrived yet. I think we're at gate number 3. There seems to be a JetBlue flight there right now going to West Palm Beach. So we'll see pretty soon. I think our flight should arrive here in another 30 minutes or so.
No, it's actually less than that. So I think we need to end this call so you can take a look out the window to see your aircraft come in. It's coming in from Charleston.
Well, we'll talk again from the plane.
All right. See you later.
Bye-bye.
He's airside now, and he's one of the few passengers in the terminal purposely waiting at the gate to film the arrival of this magnificent A220. This plane just arrived from Charleston and is turning from taxiway Alpha directly to the gate. His seat today is in Breeze's nicer cabin, and he's in an A seat on the left side of the plane because this flight will be headed south to an airspace fix in New Jersey, and hopefully the departure controller will keep the plane west of Manhattan on a southbound heading to see the city off to the left. He's on board now, so let's check back in with him. All right, well, welcome aboard the Breeze A220. How is it?
Well, it's a beautiful aircraft as expected. It's not our first time on this beauty. This is a 2-year-old plane and it does have Wi-Fi.
Good, I'll be chatting with you. How's the view out the window?
I'm getting a nice view. I have 2 windows. To my exact left is a very nice window.
All right, fantastic. See you in Vero Beach.
Yeah, hopefully I'll get on Wi-Fi with no problem.
Okay.
See you in Vero Beach. Bye.
It's time for pushback. Here's some ATC.
And ground Moxie 772 is Alpha 1, push with Delta.
Moxie 772, Westchester ground behind northbound JetBlue, push on Alpha approved.
Alright, after the JetBlue, push approved on Alpha Moxie 772.
Using the air traffic control call sign of Moxie 772, the flight pushed back after that arriving JetBlue over there passed behind the A220 and went to the gate. Moxie 772 is going to come to a stop on taxiway Alpha, and since that JetBlue plane was so close to the gate, it made sense to let it in first. The solid line is the actual center line of taxiway Alpha, and you get a very nice view all the way down taxiway Alpha from here. Once the tug is removed, Moxie 772 calls the ground controller for taxi instructions to runway 16.
Yeah, that was Moxie 772, ready taxi.
Moxie 772, runway 16, taxi via Alpha.
16 via Alpha, Moxie 772.
It's a pretty straightforward taxi to runway 16 via taxiway Alpha. The plane is moving along at a nice speed, and so am I. I'm down in Florida at the Vero Beach Airport to wait for my dad's flight. Yes, I know it won't be here for another 2 hours, but life is always better at the airport. The Vero Beach Airport is a lot different than Westchester County Airport. While HPN has a very corporate feel about it, VRB has a homey feel, and I'll be enjoying the next few hours here. Well, I've arrived at the Vero Beach Regional Airport well in advance of the arrival time of my dad's flight. As a matter of fact, he's getting ready to take off right now on runway 16 at the Westchester County Airport. At Westchester, his flight is on the tower frequency and is ready to go to Vero.
And tower Moxie 772, ready to go.
Moxie 772, Westchester Tower, traffic lands runway 29er, runway 16, line up and wait.
16, line of way, Moxie 772.
This is actually going to be a rolling takeoff because the traffic on runway 29er is already on the ground, so there's no conflict. Traffic looks good, so isn't it time for the tower controller to issue him takeoff clearance? Let's go.
Moxie 772, winds 2305, gust 20, runway 16, clear for takeoff.
16, clear for takeoff, Moxie 772.
Ready for takeoff.
Put the uniform all the way down to the end, left at the end, contact ground.
Got Charlie and over to ground. Appreciate you.
Rolling.
I got somebody coming out of the line of west down to the end, please.
Now I understand what you're saying.
This is the published departure procedure. Go ahead and read that so you know what to expect after takeoff.
We'll do a right turn.
Airborne. Okay, it's time to start that right-hand turn right now. What we're seeing here is Connecticut, as the flight path actually parallels the border between Westchester County and Fairfield County in Connecticut. It's now time to be handed off to departure control.
Moxie 772, contact new departure.
Departure, will see you, Moxie 772.
Okay, the flight is now out of the control of the person in the control tower, and it's now time to check in with New York Departure Control.
Departure Moxie 772 is 1.7, climate 3,000, Westchester.
Report across base at 8,
C772 New York, for the contact, maintain 7,000.
7,000, Moxie 772.
The controller, who's actually located across the body of water that you see here, the Long Island Sound, tells Moxie 772 to climb to 7,000 feet. The pilot continues with the turn. It's a really big turn. It's practically a U-turn, and passengers on the other side of the plane get to see the airport when the turn is complete. After the turn, the pilot just awaits radar vectors from the controller. This tight turn to 320 degrees keeps the plane within Westchester County and close to HPN. This allows the plane to climb and get higher here rather than in airspace to the south, which is used by LaGuardia departures. I missed the transmission, but the controller will tell this plane to turn left to 270 degrees, which is due west, which is very good as it points toward the Hudson River. Hopefully, the controller will keep this heading for some time before turning the plane to the south. The ideal situation would be for the flight to be set up to fly southbound west of the Hudson River so that all of Manhattan can be seen. That long line is the Hudson River, and New Jersey is on the other side. I missed the transmission, but the controller is about to turn the plane to a west heading of 270 degrees and hand it off to the next controller who's working LaGuardia departures. So the next thing that you'll hear is the pilot checking in with departure controller number 2.
Departure, good afternoon, Moxie 772 is 541, climb minute, 7,000 left 270.
Moxie 772, New York departure, turn left heading 220, climb and maintain 2000.
Alright, 2000, left turn 220, Moxie 772.
220 degrees right now? That is not good. From his current position, that is going to put him directly over Manhattan. What a real disappointment, because he strategically selected the left side for a wide turn to the south to get a great view of the skyscrapers of Manhattan from 10 to 12,000 feet. When you're over it, you can't see it, and even at 12,000 feet, you can't be too close. Here's a last look at the Hudson as the plane heads southwest in what I consider to be a premature but efficient turn. It's premature from a viewpoint point of view, but efficient as it gets the flight closer to the departure fix earlier. The white departure fix is not seeing a lot of demand right now from other flights, so the controller heads the flight down in that general direction right away. This turn, however, does provide a great view of lower Westchester County. The plane is over Hartsdale, New York, and left side passengers are getting a great view of Scarsdale and Eastchester. In the distance, on Westchester's eastern side, is Long Island Sound, and on this side of the sound are Mamaroneck, Larchmont, and New Rochelle. Now, from an air traffic perspective, the controller that Moxie 772 is talking to is handling traffic that just took off from LaGuardia, and since this flight is quite high already, conflicts are rare, but they could occur. Today, with light traffic, there are no issues. The controller is also responsible for other flights like this that are passing through this airspace, such as flights from Newark that are climbing to the northeast. Moxie 772 was told to climb to 12,000 feet because arrivals to JFK from the west descend to 13,000 feet. The controller's got something to say to this flight now.
Moxie 772, turn 10 degrees right, climb and maintain 12,000.
Alright, 10 right up to 12, Moxie 772.
A 10-degree turn to the right brings the flight to 230 degrees. That's not really going to have an impact on the Manhattan views since it's such a small turn, and that heading will still keep this plane right over Manhattan. I'm thinking specifically right over Central Park. If only this plane were further west. Oh well. But what is exciting is that this plane, although having departed from Westchester, is about to enter the 5 boroughs, specifically the Bronx. As this flight approaches 11,000 feet, it's time for the handoff to the third departure controller.
Moxie 772, departure 124.75, good day.
12475, we'll see you, Moxie 772. Departure, good afternoon, Moxie 772 is 10.7, climb at 12,000, 230 on heading.
Moxie 772, New York departure, roger.
There are no further instructions for the pilot, but I instruct you to focus on the right side of the screen because this flight is coming up on LaGuardia Airport, the principal star of this YouTube channel. So, of course, for the next few moments, we'll focus on the Bronx airspace down below this plane and what's going on at LaGuardia Airport. LaGuardia is using runway 22 for landing today, and if you look carefully, you can see a plane on approach to runway 22 over the Bronx. Don't see it? Here it is. That's a JetBlue Embraer 190 inbound from Boston. Runway 31 was the departure runway at this time, and down below is an Endeavor Air CRJ 900 departing for Cincinnati. Don't see that one either? Here it is. I admit they are hard to see since this flight is so high already, but go back and try to look for some slowly moving white dots. Those planes are both on the smaller side, so they don't stand out very easily. That is actually a really good view of LaGuardia, so it's great that he's getting to see LaGuardia without actually taking a flight from LaGuardia. LaGuardia for the price of Westchester. LaGuardia Airport is surrounded by Flushing Bay and the East River, so it's nice to see how it fits in here. The big island next to it is Rikers Island, and the 2 smaller uninhabited islands are North and South Brother Islands. This position provides an excellent view of the Ditmars, Steinway, and Astoria neighborhoods of northwestern Queens. Oh, and at the bottom right corner is a tiny piece of Manhattan at the FDR Drive around 90th Street. We can also see another part of Manhattan, Roosevelt Island, but it's a separate island from where all the tall buildings are. While Manhattan can barely be seen, there are excellent views of Queens and Brooklyn, and all the way in the distance is Kennedy Airport. All great views, but not the complete desired outcome for today's flight. It did not work out. He's literally right over Central Park right now. And of course, if you're over Central Park this high up, you can't see it. Meanwhile, back in the New York TRACON radar facility, the controller issues a new heading to the right to 250 degrees.
Mach 772, flighting 250. 250 on the heading, Mach 772.
Well, there's the Williamsburg Bridge and a small piece of Manhattan, but with the wing rising, it becomes difficult to see. That 250 degree heading is good, but it's just too late. Manhattan is practically behind him. If a 250 degree heading were issued maybe 10 miles or so ago, the Manhattan view would have been great. However, since there's still a tiny piece of lower Manhattan still left, when the wings level off, we will be able to see a small piece of lower Manhattan at the battery. That's surely something, but not the whole island. At least there's a nice view of the Atlantic Ocean out there. We can even see Monmouth County in New Jersey. And as the wing starts to come down, we can nearly see all of Brooklyn.
Mach 772, 300 knots or greater. 300 or greater, Mach 772.
There goes lower Manhattan on the bottom of the screen. Finally, we can see some tall Manhattan buildings. We can see both Ellis Island and Liberty Island. Do you see the Statue of Liberty on the island? They're both in Upper New York Bay, which opens to Lower New York Bay at the Narrows, which has the Verrazano Narrow Bridge spanning it. The land on the right side of the bridge is actually an island, Staten Island, which means that from this flight from Westchester, we've seen all 5 boroughs: the Bronx, Queens, Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Staten Island. This flight is still not heading to its first departure fix and has not yet been told to climb any higher. That's coming soon. The first departure fix, White, is in Ocean County, New Jersey, near Toms River. Once this flight reaches White, the pilot will simply follow the flight plan route all the way down to the descent to Vero Beach. It can be challenging to determine when clearance to White will happen. With that 220 degree heading, I thought it would happen soon, but the right turn to 250 degrees made the path to White a tad longer.
Mach 772, go direct to White. Direct White, Mach 772.
All right, there's the White clearance. If only that 250 degree heading occurred earlier, and if the controller needed more spacing, he could have provided a left-hand turn west or south of Manhattan. That would provide spectacular Manhattan views, especially with the wing dipping to the left. Sometimes things just don't always go the way you want them to.
Mach 772, climb and maintain 17,000. 17, Mach 772.
See JFK out there? We're now clear of arrivals to JFK from the west and can climb to 17,000 feet. Today, JFK is using runway 22 left for landing, and arrivals coming in from the west would overfly this flight, then descend out over the Atlantic Ocean, then make left turns up into Long Island, and then swing back around to land on runway 22 left. Up here, it's nearly impossible to see those JFK planes, but it is happening out there over the water. After 3 departure controllers, this flight is finally leaving the airspace of the New York TRACON and is handed off to the high-altitude New York Air Route Traffic Control Center.
Mach 772, New York Center 11897. 1897, have a go, Mach 772.
We'll resume air traffic control on the approach. Oh, and just like not getting that great Manhattan view, the approach is not going to go according to plan. You'll see why soon. But before we move forward, it's time for a message from the sponsor of today's video, Exter. Exter wallets come in a variety of shapes and sizes and colors. This one actually glows in the dark. With durable wallets and card holders, the value derived from Exter is unmatched. I always carry an Exter wallet with me, and I know I'll never lose it because I can add an air tag to it. Check out their site. They have lots of awesome products. And as a viewer of this channel, if you enter code Masella at checkout, you'll save. Visit the link in the description below. So he's communicating to me right now via Wi-Fi and text messaging, and he's letting me know that the visibility isn't the greatest. There's a lot of haze in the air, so he's not able to see too much. Oh well, I hope he gets to see a lot on the approach, but it is a little bit cloudy up here. Well, he did get some nice views in Florida. Here you're looking at the Kennedy Space Center complex in Port Canaveral. It's time for the descent to Vero Beach. This flight took a land route today and will be approaching Vero Beach from the northwest. The plan is to land on runway 12 right, and to do so, a simple left-hand turn needs to be made to join the final approach course from the north. Vero Beach, being a smaller airport, has very few large planes coming in, but there are lots of small aircraft, and vectors are generally given so that a big plane like the A220 can fly in without any unnecessary turns. But for some reason, which I'm honestly not certain about, approach control will be keeping this flight too high for the approach via a simple left-hand turn. In any case, I'm still at the Vero Beach Airport, and I've positioned myself at the fence so I can see the action, and by chance, there happens to be another Breeze A220-300 here. Okay, we're getting ready for his arrival. He'll be coming in real soon. Behind me is Moxie 915. It's a flight that's headed up to Westchester County Airport, and of course, he's coming from Westchester County Airport. Okay, he'll be coming in pretty soon. His flight is actually pretty far west of the airport, heading southbound right now at around 7,000 feet. And there goes the departure. That's the direction that it'll be landing in. Of course, that's being used as the departure runway also. I honestly thought that the plane was too high and too close to the airport, and it turns out when the pilot contacted approach control, he asked for a lower altitude.
Hey, Palm Beach, Moxie 772 at 6,000 direct to the airport. We need a lower.
772, fly heading 050, descend and maintain 1,500, RNAV, runway 12 right.
All right, 050 down to 1,500, Moxie 772.
Moxie 772, actually, you're going to be a little close there for that descent. Just want some delayed vectors back to the downwind.
All right, yeah, we'll do 050 for now and 1,500, Moxie 772.
772, roger. Amend the altitude, descend and maintain 3,000. I'm going to put you back on the north downwind.
All right, down to 3,000, Moxie 772. We appreciate it.
Okay, for some reason, Moxie 772 was too high and too close to the airport, so the approach controller is issuing delay vectors so that the aircraft can get lower and line up at the runway in advance. Not exactly sure why that happened. Well, in the meantime, I have a nice view of this A220 departing for Westchester. The departing A220 will also use runway 12 right, which is the same runway the arriving A220 will use, and it looks like the departure will get out before the arrival, so there's no conflict. Again, I just don't get why the controllers kept my dad's flight so high. My dad's flight just flew right through the final approach course and is flying to a northeast heading now 50 degrees. He's been cleared to 3,000 feet and being revectored on the north downwind. I really didn't see a lot of traffic coming in, so I'm just puzzled by this, and so is he as a passenger on the plane. He's not expecting it all to be flying in the opposite direction. As a matter of fact, most passengers are probably thinking that they should probably be on or at least near the runway. The pilot is now going to check in to verify the heading.
What heading do you want for Moxie 772?
Say it one more time.
Yeah, what heading do you want, Moxie 772?
Just continue on the present heading, Moxie 772, descend and maintain 3,000.
All right, we're 1103, Moxie 772, present heading.
Shortly after that, the pilot said that he's ready for the approach.
And we're ready to come back in, Moxie 772.
772, left turn 300.
300, Moxie 772.
So the flight is turning back around, and the pilot requests a lower altitude.
And approach, Moxie 772. We can drop to 15 if that's able.
772, descend and maintain 1,500, point on vectors for the RNAV 12 right.
All right, 15 vector, 12 right, RNAV, Moxie 772, we're ready.
Okay, so I don't know what happened with the approach controller, but they're making Moxie 772 basically do a complete circle before coming in on landing. So the aircraft actually overflew the final approach course, is making a series of left-hand turns to the north, and then will join the final approach course to land on runway 12 right. Very interesting today.
772, just going to be on the downwind for about 4 miles there for Cessna 2000 ahead of you. Just going to get them out of the way and then bring you right back towards the field.
All right, no worries. Appreciate the help, Moxie 772.
Moxie 772, left turn heading 230.
230 on the heading, Moxie 772.
772, when able, start reducing the final approach speed.
Or slow in Moxie 772.
Okay, just 2 more turns until lining up with the final approach course. I know that Moxie 915, the departure, is not a factor, as it just took off and it's about to check in with the controller on the same frequency as this flight. Here's my footage of it from the airport.
Palm Beach, Moxie 915 off Vero Beach, 1600, climbing 4,120.
Moxie 915, Palm Beach departure, radar contact line maintain 5,000.
5,915.
And as for this flight, well, it's finally time for approach clearance with a left-hand turn to intercept the final approach course.
Moxie 772, left turn 150. You're about 7 miles from Muds. Maintain 1,500 until established on the final approach course. Cleared RNAV 12 right.
Alright, left turn 150, 1500 to established, cleared 12 right, RNAV, Moxie 772.
That's the city of Fellsmere down there. A car ride from Fellsmere to the Vero Beach Airport would take about 30 minutes. This flight sure went pretty far west, but it'll be on the ground in just a few more minutes. Okay, the aircraft is finally clear for the approach to runway 12 right. I'm all eyes here at the airport terminal area watching the aircraft land. We'll come in pretty soon. I was actually not alone standing there, as a lot of people were also standing there looking out for the plane since it's going to get in a little bit later than anticipated. And yes, those people saw me talking to the camera, and I gave them some inside information on why the plane was a little late. The lady next to me told me that she got a text message from her friend on the plane that they were circling. Well, only one more turn needs to be made, a left turn to join the final approach course, and then it's straight on into the runway. It's now time for the handoff to the control tower at the airport itself.
Moxie 772, contact Vero Beach Tower.
Alright, Tower, appreciate all the help, Moxie 772.
The pilot appreciates the vectoring, but why did this happen in the first place? It's time to check in with the tower.
Tower, Moxie 772 is the RNAV 12 right.
Moxie 772, Vero Beach Tower, follow Cherokee over the VOR, number 2, runway 12 right, clear to land.
12 right, clear to land, Moxie 772.
Okay, he's clear to land on runway 12 right. There are no more turns, and the runway is directly ahead of this flight, and it should become visible soon from the cockpit as this A220 comes out of the clouds. Everything is all set up for the landing, and it was probably set up a while ago. The big road that you see down there is Interstate 95, which runs from Florida to Maine, or Maine to Florida, depending on which way you take it. So, what are your theories on what happened? I wasn't able to capture the air traffic control from the frequency before approach control, but someone kept this plane too high and kind of far from the airport. Now, I have an idea about what happened, but you'll have to watch until the very end to find out. It's finally time to land.
I was on number 418 Tango. Temperature 1,600, 1,500 on the VOR 1 right.
418 Tango, Vero Beach Tower, Roger, continuing down runway 13 right, missed approach instructions, climb maintain 2005, runway heading.
Runway heading 2000 on the missed approach. 418 Tango.
Skyflight 440, thanks for keeping up the speed for me. I appreciate that. Contact Palm Beach.
Of course, I'll contact Palm Beach. Yes, Skyflight 440.
Please. Cherokee 4 Charlie Foxtrot, 1 to left, turn land.
Clear to land, Cherokee 184 Charlie Foxtrot, runway 1 to left.
This A220 is using the entire runway to land, and the tower controller advises that the plane can taxi to the ramp via taxiway Charlie and simply remain on the tower frequency without having to contact ground control all the way to the ramp.
Moxie 772, this frequency of the ramp via Charlie. Have a good day.
Alright, to the ramp, range is free, Moxie 772 via Charlie.
After a long and circling approach, it's a short taxi to the ramp. Welcome to the Vero Beach Regional Airport. This airport recently became an operating base for Breeze Airways, and by mid-December 2024, Breeze will offer nonstop service to 7 destinations. That's making VRB, along with its flight schools and FBOs, busier and busier. The taxi to the ramp was uneventful, but take note of these fighter jets on the ramp right outside of the terminal. Moxie is here, and it's so nice to see a group of people actually watching the airplane pull into the ramp. It's time to get that forward passenger boarding door open so that I can see my dad walk out of this A220. There he is. Notice how he turns around. He's actually talking to the pilot to find out what that circle was about before landing. And then, of course, he turns to the left to look at the airplane itself, and then a turn to the right to find me. Hello. So this part is interesting, and what happens next is unexpected. I'm trying to focus on my dad coming down the ramp when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I heard something extremely loud. I looked up and this happened. That was very unexpected. Let's head on to the terminal now to greet him. Those planes are very loud. Okay, exciting times here at the Vero Beach Airport, and even more exciting because my dad is here. Now, he just came off of that A220. What happened? Why did you make those turns?
Well, the pilot told me they were all ready for the approach, but the approach controller kept them too high for the approach for some reason. So they vectored them around, had to make a left-hand turn, almost like a complete circle. It wasn't a go-around, but certainly it added time to the landing.
It sure did add time to the landing. So here's my theory on what happened. Those jets were probably planning on taking off right at the time that my dad's flight was about to land, so ATC likely kept the flight high and far so the fighters could do their maneuvers after takeoff. They probably delayed their departure by a few minutes for some reason, so they allowed Breeze to land, and then they took off once the Breeze flight was complete. That's my guess. What do you think? By the way, these planes are here at the Vero Beach Airport for the Stewart Air Show, but they were stationed at Vero Beach because the runway in Stewart is too short to accommodate them. That is super loud. Can you even hear me? All right, well, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. From the Vero Beach Airport, I'm Peter Masella. I'm with my dad now, and I hope that you come back soon for another great video like this. Don't forget to click on the subscribe button. See you, everybody.